Welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching today. We're coming to you from Interop, New York, 2010 at the Javits Center. On our program is Manish Muthal, who's the Director of Strategic Planning at LSI Corporation. Manish, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I recently saw you out in San Jose a number of months ago. We were trying to figure out how many months. It was at least a month and a half ago.
At least a month and a half.
And maybe even more.
Maybe even more.
At that time, we spent really a part of the program focusing on multi-core and your multi-core done right strategy.
Yeah, we talked more about how LSI is doing multi-core done right and creating different multi-core architectures for network processing and media processing.
And now I was hoping to spend some time talking about trends in the market and what you're seeing.
Sure. So if you kind of up-level the discussion to what are the big trends in the marketplace, there are three big trends that we are playing into. The first one is the proliferation of different types of devices, like the iPad that you have in your hand here, iPhones, the different types of services, and our desire to access any kind of service or any device from any location. So what that does is that has resulted in exponential growth in network traffic. That's one big trend. The other big trend that we are seeing is in the data centers, where we are seeing that the data centers are transforming and using technologies such as virtualization, not just in the server space, but also extending the virtualization technologies into the storage, and now more so in the network. And that's another big trend that we are seeing. And the third big trend that we are seeing that has big implications on the enterprise LAN is the emerging model around hybrid cloud services, where enterprises are now wanting to deliver services in a hybrid way, some delivered from the local data center while some delivered from the cloud.
Now, there's got to be a lot of challenges associated with all of these transformations that we're seeing in the industry. Can we go through those?
Yeah. So let's kind of examine the challenges at different places in the network. So let's start from the enterprise campus. So one of the big challenges in the enterprise campus is that as we start seeing the adoption of wider services such as Facebook and other networking technologies within the enterprise community, there's something called as consumerization of IT that's happening. A lot of these applications are now being tunneled on top of HTTP, and network operators are now losing visibility because most of the visibility tools are built at layer 2 and layer 3 levels of the OSI stack. So what's really required is deeper packet inspection technologies that can give you that higher level visibility in the applications. The second big thing that's happening is in the branch office router, where as we see more and more employees wanting to access mission critical applications from the branch, there is a need for the branch office routers to become more application aware and be able to guarantee the SLAs in terms of application delivery.
So that means basically deep packet inspection and dealing with prioritization of apps.
Exactly right. And the same technology is also required on the service provider side, where you and I want to access the same set of services from our homes or from a local Starbucks, accessing it over our iPads or our laptops.
Seems like every technology that has started as a carrier technology tends to funnel down to become an enterprise, an SMB, and eventually a consumer technology.
Exactly right. So what we are seeing is that technologies that started off in the carrier space are getting into the enterprise, and reverse is also true. There are some technologies that started in the enterprise and are catching on in the carrier space as well.
Sure.
Yes. The other big thing that we see is in the data center specifically is you want to be able to deliver applications, but you also want to be able to secure applications in the data center and allow the policies to be portable such that when applications move from one physical server to another using virtualization and vMotion like techniques, you want to make sure that the policy moves along with the application. So that's another big specific challenge that needs to be solved.
So what sorts of technology do we have in the market, or what sorts of technologies will we have to solve some of these challenges?
Yeah. So LSI has been working on creating technologies specifically to address some of these challenges that we talked about. One big area that we discussed last time was the multi-core processing technology, where we combined high-end processors with function-specific accelerators to enable the application-level QoS and security in the network, using deep packet inspection technology to do application visibility and recognition. The other key piece of technology that we are creating at LSI is media acceleration. So what we see is that with the growth of video inside enterprise and carrier networks, there is a need for doing real-time video transcoding in the network. So we are creating high-density media processing solutions that can be deployed within the network. And the third key category we see is, a technology category we see is around storage. We believe that with flash, there's an inflection point that we all can leverage in terms of high performance storage that can be embedded inside networking equipment for doing high performance caching of video and other applications.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean, especially since if you consider how many times myself as a manager will find a video that I think is interesting and then shoot it around the whole company, and then over a period of 48 hours, let's say 80% of my company will look at that video.
Exactly right. For the first generation was the CDN networks that folks like Akame built. The next generation is now building CDN blades into the edge router itself. But very soon, we're going to start seeing some of these video caching technologies being pushed all the way to the very edge of the network, delivering the video and other applications as far out as possible and as close to the end users as possible.
Well, I mean, if storage becomes cheap enough, I'm sure predictive analysis of trying to figure out what video somebody may look at in the future, and
yes.
You know, if you have the bandwidth on the network and shooting
there
it to
are multiple things needed. One
device.
is it needs to be cheap. Second, it needs to be high performance, and it needs to be intelligent. And what LSI is working on is marrying the networking intelligence that we have built into our multi-core processors with high performance flash-based storage solutions and combining them to deliver to some of these newer applications.
And what other sorts of products are you working on and coming out with?
So last time we talked about the multi-core processors, which were the silicon devices that we built. These were announced in the early part of this year. Now what we have announced in the last month is basically cards that are PCI Express cards, standards-based cards, with multiple of these chips on these cards that can do network acceleration and media acceleration.
Oh, wow.
So the media accelerator cards uses multiple of their DSP chips and do real-time transcoding of HD video. And the network accelerator cards are extremely low latency cards that can add services to your data center without increasing the latency and still matching up with the throughput to become true bump-in-the-wire services within the data center.
Oh, it's very exciting. A lot of new things happening.
A lot of new things happening at LSI.
Well, it was great to see you again. Thanks for being on the program, and keep us posted as new things happen, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Thanks.